Hello, friends.
Hello, Goofy Geekers.
Welcome to our new podcast.
Did you say a new podcast?
Well, the new episode.
The new episode. I feel like we're doing this a dime a dozen. We're like...
Well, we've done like 3 in the past, 5 days.
Uh-oh. Okay, phew. I had that small... No, it's lowered. I just had that... I just had that quick moment of like, oh, I hope it's
on the right page.
This is our Thanksgiving. Well, it's not about Thanksgiving, but we're not going to be here for Thanksgiving. Well, you are. What are you doing for Thanksgiving this year?
I am going to Kelsey's mom's house, and we're going to have dinner there. And then I'm going to go to my grandma's house for a little bit.
Turkey? Ham? No, you can't have ham.
You can't have ham. I think she's making turkey, but I probably won't eat it.
So they make like lasagna or something? Because I always feel like I always go to someone's house that make lasagna for like Thanksgiving.
No.
I'm serious.
So last year she made a chicken too, but I think I'm just going to make a macaroni and cheese so that way I have something.
Yeah.
I usually just eat the side. I hate Thanksgiving.
Do you?
Yeah. I hate all that food.
Oh my gosh. No, you got... Okay, making...
Shannon is not happy about that.
My better half is sitting next to us. I don't know if she's going to wave. Probably just give like a wave to everybody. Nope. You're not even close.
Not even... There we are.
There we are. That's like her favorite, like, that's her go-to, is Thanksgiving. Like, okay, wait a minute. I love Thanksgiving, but you know when I really love Thanksgiving?
Not on Thanksgiving.
Right. I love the next day
no, that's
sandwich. Oh.
See, I have a problem with my food touching.
Do you?
Yeah.
So you're crazy.
Yeah. Like, I don't know if you know Saturday night, but when the chicken parm, like, I separated them.
Okay.
I'm not sure same
why.
Food.
It's the same food. Like, you had pasta with sauce, which had chicken parm with the same pasta, same sauce, same cheese.
Yeah.
And you still separated.
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know.
Just one of those things.
Yeah.
I'm that way to some food. Like, I'm not gonna lie.
If it's saucy too, like, it can't touch. A different sauce.
Like,
no.
There's some foods I can mash together, and I don't like shepherd's pie, which I know the boss hates. There's some food that I don't mind all thrown together, but there are some food that I kind of go no. And we talked about this about like yams. Like, I couldn't have a plate full of like food and then have yams on it, or dessert. I don't know how people do that. Like, they go to a buffet and they grab like all the food and plus dessert sitting on the same. Like, yeah. No. Like, your meat is running into the pie. Like, like no. I'm like, yes, but not with food. You know.
Yikes.
I don't. What's that? Oh, I assumed there was something dirty. That's what she said. It's one of those things for me is I can't do that. Like, or cookies on your plate. Like, I know people who do, or, I hate the tangerines. Like, they put like fruit and then they put like food. They're like, I don't want to go up twice. I'm like, it's a buffet. I'll go up 10 times.
Use another plate.
Right. I'll use 10 plates.
Right.
That's me.
Right.
Or if it's something I really don't like.
I hate buffets too, though, honestly.
You know what I do? I know this is totally going off of something else, but I'm really big on, like, at the end, I have pudding. Like, my big thing is chocolate pudding because I had that. It was like a big thing when I was a kid. And 9 out of 10 times, I'll grab the bowl that's for soup or ice cream.
And just grab a giant
and I'll just grab it.
Why don't you just pull it right out of there?
I would grab the whole thing, but they look at me funny.
Saute pan.
They look at me funny. I'm going to say, excuse me.
It's a buffet. All you can eat.
Excuse me.
I am going to eat the whole thing. Don't you worry.
You go now. You're here 4 hours. No more pudding. You go. Like, I literally will scoop that up like it's going down style. And of course, like, the second it touches my lips, my stomach goes. And I go, I gotta go.
I'm gonna make my own chocolate pudding.
And we're like Mach 1. We're going back in time with like 88 miles per hour. Like, hold on.
You're like, well, you know what? I'll just do it here. That way I can fuel up again.
No. Well, we got bad in here. All right. Well, this podcast is for the people who are just joining us for the first time. We seem to be getting a lot more, I guess, viewers, people that are listening. And so we thought we'd kind of like reintroduce ourselves. I know we did that for the very first one, but I know a lot of new people don't want to backtrack because it's already been, what, like 20-something?
26.
I know.
24.
24. And so a lot of this is, so we thought we'd kind of go back and kind of introduce ourselves. My name is Niles, and I am
Old.
very old. I'm
kidding.
old. No, I am old.
I don't think 46 is old.
I'm 45. Jeez, throw me under the bus. No.
You know what it was? It was that podcast from last week where you're like, it was the mom who was 46.
Right,
you're like,
right,
oh,
right.
I'm the mom. So that's what, because I edited that video.
Yeah.
Like,
I like
Are
the
you a Pisces?
I am a Pisces.
do you follow that?
What's that?
Do you follow astrology?
I actually do, but I stopped because I actually get
We should do a podcast on it.
I get too creeped out by it because it's so right. Like every time I think it's a bunch of baloney, I'll read the thing and I'll be like, "Oh my god, that's so me." And then I try to read other people's to see if it's like me also, and I'm like, "No, that's not me. Curse it." And then I start believing in something I don't know if I
want to believe.
I don't know. Like I'm not really big on. I believe I have my own destiny and my own thing, and I don't really want to be labeled because I'm who I am because I was born on a day. Like, I don't want that. Mm-hmm. It's probably true.
I think it's just more for fun.
It's probably true, but I don't want it to be that way. Like I just don't.
Yeah.
I don't want to see that light. So I get very like I don't want to study this. Yeah, I am the owner of the Goofy Geek, which we are live on. I opened this page up almost 10 years. Yeah, it has been 10 years. This is going to be our 11th in next February. So this is our. Here
comes the cat.
I know. Hello, kitty.
No, it's not Hello Kitty. That's Siren.
Hello. So I opened this up to be a fun kind of like little fun story thing as Goofy Who, and then it ended up becoming. We wanted to grow into like memes and stuff, and then it became eventually the Doctor Who / Goofy story kind of went to the back end, if you will. Things changed, time changed, and we started it to be a geek page. And I've had lots and lots of admins, all different kinds.
How many followers do you have on this page? Do you know?
Yeah. It's roughly 155,000, roughly. And it gives and takes. I try not to look anymore. Mm-hmm. Like I used to be big on numbers. I used to be like, oh, I need to get. And then, I don't know, Facebook went crazy a couple years ago, and I was like jumping up thousands by like a day.
You hit 50,000 and it jumps.
Like we went from 50,000 to like boom, 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 like in days, not like months, days. Mm-hmm. And I'm pretty sure Facebook is going to start correcting that because I almost feel like we got like fake people because we literally one day we almost got like 2,000 people in one day, and I was like, there's no way there's 2,000 people on Facebook seeing my page on one day.
Right.
And liked it all at that, like, in 24 hours. I guess it could, but then the next day it happened. Like, we got a couple hundred and it was like, I think it's I don't want to say a word glitch, but I think it's one of those, it smells fishy to me. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, so I try not to look at the number anymore. It's not about that. I did learn a really good lesson. I was real excited when the page got to 100. This is way. And then when we got to 1,000, oh my gosh, I remember like I felt like I hit the lottery. Mm-hmm. And then what happened was I lost touch with everybody. Like it wasn't when it's 100 or it's 20, you're real close to everybody.
Right.
And I have a lot on my Facebook, like my personal account, like the original, like 20 people that were like would talk and would joke and write underneath. And I'm not saying people don't write underneath, but I don't have that closeness anymore, and it almost becomes a. I love this. This is one of the big topics I always get. We always put something kind of racy up there sometimes, like a real dirty, not dirty, but like inappropriate joke. And right away I'll get tons of people hate. And I always love the fact that I have one of our admins was gay. I have a bi admin. Like I have all these women bi. I don't appreciate this woman joke. Well, I'm the only dude and the rest are all women. Like, you know, and everyone laughed at it. I have a bi and a gay person on it, and they were like, oh, and I did a gay joke, and everyone was like, oh, this is so inappropriate. And I'm like, they're laughing, you know, like, and I
think people are just so quick to get up in arms because they have nothing else to do right now.
This was the reason why we had that Pride podcast, and we're going to have a second one on that.
Yeah,
I know we are, because and it was really hard for me at first because I had I don't want to say their names because I don't know if they want everyone to know their names, my admins, but like they would sit there and like, nah, so you're a good guy, this is funny, this is just a tongue-in-cheek type of thing, you know, like ha ha ha, and they would take it like I was going at them. And I kind of just feel like sometimes we aren't taking a joke for the joke. Like it kills me. Yeah. Like I always love the fact that like we'll put up a meme, and I don't care who it is. Me, it could be people, my other admins, anybody. And always somebody, and if it's spelled too wrong, or any type of spelling, there has to be 200 people that write the correct spelling. And I always think to myself, the meme is still wrong. Right. I didn't make that meme. I had nothing to do with that. I'm not fixing it. Right. I'm not taking the time to take it down, try to take 20 minutes to repost it for 3 people to see it after I've reposted it. Yeah. And then it also kills me, and I always think to myself is, okay, I understand there's like the new name is like grammar Nazis out there, right? Which is fine. But here's the thing. Why do we have like 200 people saying the same thing? Why can't they just like the first, like, oh yeah, me too. Oh yeah, it's spelled wrong. It's spelled wrong. Right. But yet, I just had this. Somebody wrote break, and they spelled the wrong break. They put like BRAKE instead of E, you know, like EAK. Right. And everyone, and I'm like, why is that? Like,
that's a priority.
Like, yeah. And it's kind of like, I don't know. And I know it's me, and I know it's people's like prerogatives. Like, well, it's my prerogative. It's on my page. I can do anything I want. I can write on it. It's just, yeah, but it's a joke. It's funny. It's like, we're not taking things
seriously. It's like
seriously.
Explaining the joke.
Right. It's like,
you're taking away.
But yet, I always love when I get a meme that says 2 and it has the number 2 and it says you and it has a, but no one writes on that one. No one be like, oh, you can't write real English, you know?
Right.
It really kills me of stuff like that. And it, not that we're making fun of our fans, but literally there's like, we'll be in our chat of like, can you believe this? Like, what's going on? And then I'll have someone say, can we take this down? And then someone else will say, can we take this down? And we'll have 4 people who complain, take it down. We'll have 200 likes or 300 likes, or and 4 people are almost blowing their caskets. And I kind of go, okay, well, if we live in the majority type of world, the 200 people like it, only 4 people don't like it. Why don't you block this thing, get off the page? Like, it's not meant to be this way. It's not meant to hate. I my hardest try to put up stuff that everyone can just laugh at. Yeah. Like, I laugh at myself on a daily basis. Like, there's nothing I won't laugh about.
Well, if you can't laugh at yourself, then
you can't laugh at others.
Right.
That's always been my motto. We always laugh because Shannon, the boss here, she's taller than I am. She's 5'8". I'm 5'6". So, all right, you want to try to go fix that?
Yep.
Quick?
You keep talking.
Yeah.
But you were going consistently.
All right. So our YouTube video has oh, hey, what's up, Matt? How you doing, buddy? Matt's a friend from high school. Oh, we can tell some high school things, you know.
13 minutes.
And we're at 15 minutes, so it just shut off. I can tell some. We'll talk about how I know you. I actually know Jesse's dad. I met him in about 7th grade or something like that, and I went over his house. I won't throw him too much under the bus, but we went, and then in middle school, and we became friends, and then we ended up. Matt says just hanging out. Just got home from work. Sweet. Relax. Home from work. And so her dad's name's Gary. So Gary and I became kind of close friends. I would say in high school we got even closer. We had a couple classes together, and definitely had too many funny stories in high school. You know what, Matt? I'm going to throw you under the bus. I want to tell a quick Matt story. Matt is a couple of years younger than I am, and so we used to go play football across from my house. My parents' house was a water station who had a big kind of backyard, which we could all play, and we used to go play football. And we were all in high school, and I think, Matt, you were in middle school at the time. And we were playing tackle football, and more like a few years younger. Yeah, you have to be at least. And we were playing football, and it was tackle football, and Matt was little. Matt was little. And so he shows up because he wants to play in his football gear, in pads, a helmet. He's going to play football with us, tackling, and he's all like, oh, you're only 42? I'm 45. You're not that much younger than I am. And so he got all dressed up, and like he had shoulder pads, he had leg pads, and he was all done up. He had a helmet on because he was going to play with us high school kids. And so we said, "Oh, don't play. We're gonna hit hard." He says, "No, I can do it." We hit this kid the first time. He goes running to his dad, crying. Poor kid. It wasn't his fault. He was a little kid, and we didn't really hit him hard. He just kind of really fell back, and he was younger. So I'm not. Let me make this real clear. He was much younger than us.
Yeah.
He hit the ground. His dad showed up, and he was a police officer in Newport. And he was such a nice guy, but he was really mad that we hurt him, that he came out of nowhere, and that he was going. Oh, I'm sorry. Matt said he had practice. That's why he had everything on. Okay, so. All right, I'll totally take that. He came back from practice, but he went to play with us, and we tackled him, and his dad came and played. And he's like, "Oh, you want to hit someone younger? Come on, we'll play." And his father played with us, and we hit this guy. This guy hit us too, but I don't know how her father did. Matt's father didn't go home. Like, he probably went home and probably sat in a cold bath, because I know I did, because he hit me many a times because he was a big man. He just hit me and I went whoosh, because I was only 125 if I was lucky weight. I mean it was and then yes, Matt, as the time went on, Matt did play a lot, and he got tougher, and but it was that first time, yeah. But it was funny though. Matt, the very first time was definitely not. His poor dad, man. We were just, oh, he's an adult. We can really hit him, and of course, I think we just bounced off him. I don't think he felt us. Yeah. And he was a good man. He was a good man. He definitely gave us what we deserved, and.
My dad was 5'8" and 220 pounds.
Yeah. I think it may be a little bit heavier. I swear he had a little something. You know, of course he was older and smarter, so he kind of used his weight much different than we did, especially at 125. And most of us we didn't play football. We were just out neighborhood football. But Yeah, I will always remember that day because at the end of the day, your father, Matt's father, shook all of our hands, and he definitely, as much as he gave it to us, he, walked away with a little. Yeah, totally respect your dad, totally 100%. I know he passed away, but I will always have great memories of that day because I remember thinking, "Oh, we got this guy, and this guy totally gave it to us." Like. If I right, I think my shorts were ripped by the time I was coming home. Like I was limping on the way home. I was like, "Oh, good game. Oh, I'll never walk again." Yeah. I think I wasn't there. I don't remember 4 times, but I'm sure he probably came a few times. I didn't show up, but to play. But he would. But I can tell you something. He gave it that day. I remember that one day, man. He just, because he was a little annoyed that we had roughed up the poor Matt. But then Matt came, and then he became regular, and he became as tough as the rest of us.
Yeah.
And we definitely had fun that day. It's a whole different time. This is when, we're talking about 93, like 90, 92, 93, 94, somewhere in that, those 3 years of playing, because I remember, there were no cell phones. We used to go play football. I remember the big thing was, I believe it was a Monday. There was a certain Monday a year that we would all meet on the actual, on the real football field, on our school football field in Portsmouth, and actually play a real game. And we'd be none of us could walk the next day because we would, no pads and nothing, be completely Superman each other, tackling each other. And I can remember coming home with big bruises on my legs, and and my mom would be like, "What happened to you?" "I was just playing football." Yes. We did play other stuff like basketball, and what's up, Matt? How you doing?
Ooh, that was confusing.
Oh, I know. Yeah, it's Matt and Matt. Oh, now I have to do the whole young
MY and MS.
Matt. Yeah. Matt S and Matt Y. So I remember doing that type of stuff. I mean, that's the stuff I remember, or riding our bikes. Oh God, I remember riding my bikes everywhere. I can't even, nowadays I see kids not doing it. I'm like, how could you not?
Well, we were only allowed to go up and down the street unless my dad went or my mom went or something. Otherwise,
I can see a dad on a bike with a helmet.
Well, it's funny that you say that, because the day that I was learning how to ride a bike without training wheels, I was doing so good, making all the turns. He's like, "All right, as soon as you feel comfortable, we'll go for a bike ride." Well, right before the bike ride, I went to go take the turn. I fell off my bike, and I was like, "I'm done.
I'm walking home."
It was down the street. It wasn't even at the corner. When you take a left out of my driveway.
Yeah.
It was what?
Your dad's like, "I just bought this helmet." What the?
20 feet away. I was like, no.
So how many people were in your bike group to go riding?
It was just it was just the 3 of us and Dad.
Right, all right.
Yeah.
I cannot picture your dad on a bike. I'm sorry.
Actually, I don't think he had a bike, so he had to use one of ours. And it must have been Ashley's or something.
Ding, ding, ding. I can picture this little pink bike.
Maybe
I got
he
it.
did.
I got
remember.
it. Oh my gosh.
Oh, we used to draw lines in the.
Oh, drive like a road,
No, we used to draw the parking spots, and I guess we did draw the road too.
Oh, wait a minute. I gotta read this. So Matt S says sexy Matt and young Matt. So neither statement are true. Yeah, he just made me laugh. Sexy Matt, young Matt. Matt's like, "Yeah, I'd go for that. I'm only 42." And I'm like, "No, not Matt. Matt Y, you're not young." So wait a minute, you put lines and did what?
So the parking spots.
Oh yeah.
And we'd always park our bike into that.
No, So let me finish. So I was friends with your dad through high school, And of course, I got to meet you later.
You
on.
met in what?
Middle school. I want to say 7th grade. It's been a big talk of like we've talked about this 100 times. Like it's somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And then we went through high school, which that was an adventure on our own.
Did you say later met you? Like no.
Like later,
kidding.
much later than I met you. You were just a glimmer in your dad's eye. I just met you, Jesse. High school was with your dad. It's so funny because as close as we were, we also lived 2 separate lives because we felt like your dad was part of bands. Your dad was so cool.
So cool.
He was cool because I remember him being in a band, and that was like, I don't know, it's one of the coolest things. And your dad, which you have the same talent, which I hate both of you, can literally play anything just from listening
to it.
And I remember a few times hanging out with your dad, and he would just take the guitar and he'd just be like, he would listen to a song for a few minutes, and the next thing you know, he'd be like playing.
That's what I miss about not being at home. Just like listening to him play his guitar randomly.
Okay. You're gonna throw me under the bus. I so geek out every time he does it. He's like, I'm just gonna play my guitar, and I get like, okay, like, I do, because instantly.
Will you sign my shirt?
No, not that bad. He signs my boob. No.
Get the tattoo.
Just tattoo. So. No, but it instantly makes me back to like 15, 16. Like I instantly back to being a kid. Like
yeah.
The only difference is I know podcast people can't. Well, yeah, you're gonna see this. He used to wear his hat like this, so the brim used to be like right in the middle of his head, like right here, and then he would have long hair, but it was all.
Let's see if I can do it.
Yeah, no, because it's not curly enough. Like your hair, his hair was like I don't even know. Like
do this.
Like Portuguese, like the Portuguese hair where it was so curled. When he took a shower, I'm sure it was like on his butt. But he used to have it all like oh my god. He would
you have a smaller head than me, I think.
Well, I don't think it's small. I just think of my hair. It's he would do way back there. Yeah. And he would always fix it. Like he would always be fixing it. And see, I figured out why your dad wore it like that, because half the time in English class his head would be down, and
taking a little
so I know I told the story live, but I didn't tell it for the podcast. So I want to tell one of the high school famous stories that you love to hear from us.
All of them.
I know. So we're in English class. Well, I'll tell your dad's favorite, then I'll tell your favorite. How's that? So
that comes first. I get it. Didn't mean it that way.
How do you think you got here? So we had a really strict English teacher, Mr. Carroll, which I don't think is alive anymore, unfortunately. But he was really strict, really strict. So we used to have this rule. He had the rule that, like, the first bell would go off. If your foot wasn't in the door by second bell, you got kicked out. You got right to the office. There was no warnings, everything. Right. You were out. And I'm walking. I just want to make this clear. I was not the best student in the world. Like, I was class president. I did all the things I was supposed to do, but I wasn't the best.
I just don't understand how you got class president.
Oh, okay.
Well, no, it's fine.
No, I'll tell the story.
Well, we can tell after.
Well, I'll tell the story afterwards. So, we're walking, and if I'm right, and I know that probably someone's going to correct me, but I think it's, Uncle Pat, and Gary and me, and we're walking, and we're just kind of talking, bullshitting, not caring. All of a sudden, the first bell goes off, and we look at each other like, because it's really not much time.
Right.
Now, in our school, which you went to the same one much years after I did, but there's a blind part where there's the around the P around the gym, which is part of like the art wing in the library. And I was coming. Now the bell rings, so I start to run because I don't need to get kicked out. Now I have no books in my hands because I'm that kid. I have nothing in my hands, and we hit this kid, and I feel so bad. I almost positive it was a freshman because I can remember it being an underclass. We hit this kid, and books go flying, and
Like you would see in a movie?
Like, yeah, it really was. Because the poor kid, I mean, don't forget, there's 3 of us, and we basically, I think I was leading the pack, unfortunately, and I mean, I ran through him. There was no, like, if you told me I stepped on him when I was running, I'd probably go, yes. And I probably right now, the ones listening to the podcast going, it's me, that guy was me. I am really, really sorry.
I still have your notebook.
And I hit this kid really, and there's papers everywhere. And we run to class, and we make it. To this day, I don't know how we make it. And we sit down, and as we're sitting down, it was one of those classes that he used to give you like a check mark if you had your like notebook, your pen, and blah blah blah. And I sit down and I opened up a notebook and I flip it around, and I believe it was Pat who said, "When did you get a notebook?" And I said, "I grabbed it from that kid." And I got a check for having a notebook. And Gary's like, "Are you for real?" And I was like, "What? He won't know."
He'll know.
He'll know, but he won't know until after, because it was math.
Right.
I don't think his first period was math. Or at least mine wasn't. So,
Poor kid.
Your dad was like, "What made you?" I was like, "I needed a notebook." Hey, it like literally fell in my lap. Like when I hit the kid, like it fell in my lap, and I was like, "Yep, mine." Some kid's like, "I swear I had my math homework."
Like, I have my math homework.
No, he was underclassman. I wish it was like that. I would have told that story till the day I die if I had. But I was like, "Look, he's in the same class as I am. Sweet." But I hit that kid. The books went flying, and then the fact that both of them looked at me like, "When did you get a notebook?" And it said math, and I just turned it over. I just flipped it to the other side, so it was like the clean side of the notebook. And I got credit, and I remember them looking at me like, "Are you kidding me?" Like, actually, I think your father goes, "You are so full of shit." And I go, "You know it."
Times like that, I just wish I had like a camera where I could like see, like be there almost, or like watch the things happen.
I don't know what happened, and I can't remember this, and I'm sorry that I can't remember this. I don't even know if people even care. But there was a period of time where Pat and Gary and I were on the same wavelength, that one person could say one thing and we would have our heads down sweating because we were trying not to like laugh like uncontrollably, and then magically as soon as I would be like,
You got it.
like Zen, I would lift my head up and your dad would say one word and all 3 of our heads would be right back down. Like, "Oh my God, I'm going to die. I'm going to die." And I remember being so sweaty and like could feel the sweat like going, "Stop. It's not that funny." And you're like, "Yes, it is. Yes, it is." And then your dad would say something and just totally, and I'd be like, "Stop." Because your dad, he still is this way, even though he talks more. But back then, he didn't really talk as much. But it's always those one word, 2 words, blah, blah, blah. And then you're just like, oh. And then Pat would just look at me. And it was more that we're on the same wavelength.
That's funny because I must be like the exact same way because I don't talk in school at all. And
right.
When I went to Paul Mitchell for hair, I didn't know anyone there, so I'm like, I'm not fucking talking to anyone unless they talk to me. But like, I'll like tell jokes underneath my breath, and like some kid was like, "Oh my God, that was so funny." I'm like, "Sorry, you were supposed to hear that."
That's why.
And then like I would say something else, and he's like cracking up.
That's why I was done with your dad when I saw him not that long ago. I was like, and he was asking about it, and he's like, "I listened to all of it," which I'm sure he's going to be listening to this one, but
this is the one he doesn't listen.
He's like, "No, forget this."
Right. He's like, "He hasn't told my story yet."
But I was telling him that you're just like he was in high school. Like it's so easy to do this because it's like talking to him in high school. Just the one word out of each other's mouth, the one look, the oh no. Like something said, like you're really good at this, and which is your dad was something said, and he would just look at me and I would just go and just think to myself, no, not now. Don't laugh now. Oh, and it'd be like, and I could feel the sweat coming and being like, please God, please don't make me laugh in the middle of this spot. The next story that you like, and in the same class on a different day, and it was a Friday, and I remember it was a Friday. Your dad said to me, we're doing book reports, but we had to go in like the order, and he was sitting behind me, and he taps me, and he says, hey, I haven't finished mine, which in our language meant I haven't even started it yet.
I am my dad reincarnated.
So he taps me and he says, can you stall so I can write this? Okay.
Was he just waiting for like were you waiting for a look? Like maybe he's got it, or were you just
No.
go?
So what happened was, so I'm sitting there, and Pat also nicely. All right, Pat and I are well, at least my opinion. I'm sure Pat will argue this, but we have a lot in common, and we're a lot alike. So we bump heads way more than we probably should, but we're still friends. Like at the end of the day, Pat will always be my friend to the day I die. But we always bump heads, like because we always think alike, but the opposite way sometimes.
Yeah.
Or maybe the same way.
What's recording?
And what you want to go to?
I'm just very anxious.
I know. And so he says to Gary, he can't do this. And so Gary says, why not? And he says, he hasn't even read the book yet. And I go, yeah.
I can picture him saying it like,
right. Well,
like I saw his face when he
like,
did
yeah,
that.
like, yeah. And he had that face like, you can't do this. Like, and I was like, oh, yeah, I can. And he's like, all right, I'll bet you. Yeah. And I was like, yeah? You gonna bet me? He's like, yeah. I said, I'll give him plenty of time. He says, all right, it's on. So I get up.
Do you know what your book was about?
Yes. It was a story of Greek mythology.
Did you just stand there and read the book?
No, I did not. So what I had done was I had already liked Greek mythology. I was a big history nerd. Like,
still are.
Still am. Right, I still am. But I knew that's what I wanted. So when I went to pick the book, I had already knew these stories in and out from...
Could you just pick any book?
Yeah, we could pick any book. And I even went to him because it was like 4 major stories. They were short stories, but they weren't really that short. Like they were like chapters. So I believe there was 5 or 6 in them, but they were like the classic stories I had learned 100 trillion times, and I had read 100 trillion times.
But you didn't let him know that.
No, I didn't let him know that.
Right.
So I was like, I got this. I go up and I flip to chapter 1, and it says, I forgot what it was, but it said, what the story was, like, the name. And of course, I start talking about it because I know it. And then I go to the second chapter, and I start talking about that one. And I said to the teacher, went, oh, very interesting. I said, oh, no, there's a few more. I want you to get each chapter because it's a different story, so I read it. So bluffing right there. Pat's face is like... So we had 45-minute classes. I talked 45 minutes. Gary, I believe, was halfway through it, smiling every time he looked at me, looking at Pat, turning red as red can be.
I can picture it.
And, oh yeah, I know. Pat, because he's Irish.
No, I meant my dad smiling.
Oh, your dad. Well, Pat was turning red because he was getting annoyed because he kept being like, are you going to buy this? Like, he kept looking at the teacher like, are you going to buy this? Ask him some questions. Like, he was trying to throw me under the bus. Yeah. And I was like, oh, yeah.
The teacher's like, there's nothing left to ask.
And this guy was just like, oh, yeah. And I was like, oh, no. He's like, okay, that's good. Let's give it. I'm like, I'm not done. Right? And they walk away, and he's like, well, it went a little too long than I liked. so I'm going to give you, I think it was a B or something. And he goes, a B for a book he didn't read? Your dad is crying, laughing, head on the table. I don't even think he's even writing anymore. Like, he's like, I got the whole weekend to freaking do this homework. And I'm like, yep. Thank you for shopping. And I looked and I gave that look like to Pat, like
fuck you.
Boom. And that was before the booms.
Right.
You know, and I was just like, please. And he goes, and your father whispers to me once again, you're such a bullshitter. You're so full of shit. And I'm like, yep. And I got you a whole weekend.
Right.
And your dad was just
You're
like,
welcome.
Yeah. And he walked out and Pat's like, don't say a word. Don't say anything to me. Like,
So what'd you bet?
it
you
wasn't.
bet on anything?
No, it was just I couldn't do it.
That's
that
fine.
was it's usually Pat and I are bragging rights. It's because then it's like now I get to tell the story all the time
Right.
and like,
Here
hey,
we are.
remember the time? And he's like, "Arr." That's why Pat doesn't come over anymore. He's like, yes, you beat me that time.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean I knew your dad all the way through high school. I didn't know. Okay, so I won't go into details. Like, no, not bad. Just I met your mom one time in high school, I think, and this is how I know your mom was. Your dad went to the Big E dating one girl, and got home and said, "Oh, this is my girlfriend," and now we're like,
Wow, she's changed.
what happened to the other one? You just went on a bus ride. How did that happen? And by the
What
time it
happens at
came
there
back,
stays there.
yeah, what happens at the Big E stays at the Big
Right.
E. And I'm like, can I go? How's that work? I want to trade mine. How's that work? You know, I was like, what? And I really didn't know your mom, really. I know of your mom because obviously Gary dated her. We went to senior prom. I know she was there. I know it's horrible, but I didn't see her. And we had an after-hour party at we had an after-hour party, and your mom couldn't go. Your mom wasn't allowed to go, and Gary wasn't going to go, but he ended up going and regrets every minute of it because he was because the cops came and checked the whole room, and we had hid it all in different places. And the whole time, Pat, I swear Gary had his hand over Pat's mouth of like, shut up. Because Pat was, he was easy to kind of,
Yeah.
you know, you shook him a little bit because his dad was a cop. So
Yeah.
in all fairness, he had that, oh, I don't want to get in that much trouble. Like, you know, and he was just, your dad came, I actually just talked to your mom about this now. She goes, yeah, I remember the next day he was still sick. He was still drunk from the night before. I can't tell that whole story. So there's a little more.
That's all I get.
There's a little more to that, but I don't want to throw your dad under the bus. Poor guy. He got sick. I'll just put it that way. He got sick. You're looking at me like, how did he get sick? I'm just gonna say late at night there was some activity and he got sick because the activity was going on.
Yeah.
And
It's
it was
funny that you were talking about how my dad was like a big band guy and would play guitar or whatever. Well, I'm sure you know her, or you might know her, you might not. But I had a teacher who was pretty much in love with my dad. The way she made it seem like it. But
who's not in love with your dad.
She was like, he would sit on the stairs and play guitar. You know who this is?
No, I don't.
Oh.
But the problem is there's too many. Like, it's funny because we talked about that because in your day there was a big now there's like a big band. Well, not now because of COVID, but before then there was like I don't know, like 200, 300,000 kids. Like in your day there was tons. In our day there was only 60 kids.
Right.
Like if we were lucky. And I know he always says I was 60, and I'm like, well, like 5 that actually showed up.
Right. Yeah.
And I know too many of them because I could sit with your parents. Like I sat in the band because no one cared because there was not many of them.
Right.
Now you're not allowed to even walk over there.
You have to like be in the know.
Yeah,
and stuff.
yeah, I know.
But yeah, like they don't really like.
So she's all
But yeah, she's like telling me this in class, and like over, like she's doing attendance. She's like, "Oh, are you related to?" I'm like, "Yup." And she's telling me the story, and like
She's like, "Oh,
she's
you're so
known-
hot."
she's known to like
You're like,
do some weird stuff. So I was like, "Oh God!" Like, so she's like, "I used to just watch him play guitar on the stairs, and I just loved it." I'm like, "Ew." First of all,
I'm gonna
I don't want to know.
this is horrible. I'm going to throw your dad under the bus. Sorry, Gary. I love you, man. This poor guy, he dated this girl. I don't remember her name. I didn't really know her. Like, we didn't. Just always hung out with Gary. Always hung out with him. Always time I saw Gary, I saw her. Saw Gary, saw her. Never really talked to her. She was very, very quiet. And I really just was like, well, if she's not talking to me, I don't need to talk to her. She was older than us, whatever. And then one day he was in a really bad mood, and Pat says, leave him alone. You know how he is. He'll knock you out now. You'll annoy him, because I'm the annoying one. Like, you know, like I keep pushing that button. And so I'm walking with Pat. I'm like, what is the problem? He's like, oh, blah, 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 broke up with him. And I was like, who's that? She's like, oh, that girl. And I was like, oh, that gay girl? She's like, she's not gay. And I was like, oh, I thought she was gay the whole time. No clue. And your dad's like,
Hi, Ian.
So I'm telling him, hey, Ian. So I'm telling him the story. He's like, give me this look like, really, Niles? I was like, I didn't know. I had no clue. I never asked him.
Right.
She had short hair. Not that I just assumed. I was just like, yeah.
Right.
Because they didn't hold hands. I didn't, like, have any public, like... And I remember Pat's like, how did you not know? Well, they weren't holding hands or nothing. And it's not like girls can't hang out with us, you know,
Right.
like we all have girl friends out there, you know. And he was like, oh, I just remember that day. He's so mad. And Pat's like, what is wrong with you? And I'm like, I think the worst joke I did in high school was to our friend Dave. So my friend Dave broke his ankle, like I believe it was our beginning of our freshman year. He had surgery done. And so I was lucky to have a lot of his classes. So I got to do I got to take his bag. So we got to leave 5 minutes early and 5 minutes later. Well, I became class president. So I don't know if you know, but they usually have one big class meeting when you have. So my dad's a dog groomer. And Dave was going bald. So I had took all this hair. And at the end of the meeting, when everyone still said, hey, Dave, since I've been walking behind you all year, I thought you might want this back. I've been sweeping behind you.
Oh
He
my
grabbed
God.
the bag. He got so red all the way back here. He was so mad at me. I would have paid to do that again.
Oh my God.
He's completely bald now. He's like all shaved, and every time I see him on Facebook, I always think of that joke, and that worth every single, because he was like, I will kill you, and I'd be like, it was worth it.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah, you asked me how I became class president. Oh no. There was a guy who was our class president who absolutely was the coolest kid in school. He was cool. I think this kid was cool in 5th grade of high school, because he had the jet black hair. He had the polo shirts all the time, like folded nicely. He had this guy looked like he was 25 before we were even even in 3rd grade, I think.
Yeah.
He was it. And he always was that kid. And he always got voted in. And one day someone said to me, you know, why don't you run for class president? And I said, for what? What am I going to do? And they'd be like, well, do you want to do that? And I was like, yeah, all right. That sounds cool. I was a freshman because you had to get your paperwork in for sophomore year type of thing. And I was like, you get voted in your freshman year to be sophomore. You know how that goes. So I was like, all right, I'll try. I'll go for it. So I was told the rules, like wink, wink, nudge, nudge type of thing, where I don't know if this is how it was when in your day, but in my day, everyone nominated each other. So like the secretary nominated the vice president, the vice president, like it was like a small group of people that did it all the time. And they were all friends, and it was all like a coup kind of like and I remember thinking to myself, I can't get through this. Like, this is all the cool crowd. I'm not, I'm talking about a guy who wears a propeller hat through high school. There's no way I'm going to be cool. And so we went to, I filled out all the papers, and I said, oh, I need people to nominate me. And I kind of looked at them, and I kind of looked back, and I'm like, those kids aren't going to nominate me. So I went into the, well, in my day, it used to be like all the, like Motorheads and, like heavy metal group with the black T-shirts and the long, I guess, mullets, because that was kind of cool at the time. And I went up to one of the tallest guys, and I said, hey, you owe me a favor, because I had done something for him. And he says, yeah. And I said, I need you to nominate me to be class president. And he goes, sure. Now, mind you, there's a cigarette out of his mouth because it's in the 90s. And he's like, sure, no problem. So then I knew a girl who was, I don't know how to kind of explain it, like kind of more of like the hip hop group, like, and I said, hey, I need you to do me a favor, and I'll owe you a favor. And she said, fine. And she goes, what do I have to do? I said, you have to nominate me for president. And she goes, oh, okay. So I ended up getting another person who was a complete jock, so totally out of these two realms, to be my campaign manager. So I felt like I had got a little piece of every group. And so we're there on the day, and we're on stage, and we're sitting there, and everyone looks carbon copy of each other. And then there's me with a propeller hat on, and I believe like dress pants on, and a shirt and suspenders that probably matched my hat. And we landed up going to one of the girls that was running was the representative of Rhode Island. And she came up with a beautiful speech. It was like, she's going to run for Congress someday. And so everyone was reading. And so I go, like, it's my turn for my representatives to go up, not for me. And all of a sudden, my campaign manager's like, we have a problem. And I'm like, oh, no. So I run out, and they're like, we can't get Alan out of the bathroom, and he smoked a pack of cigarettes already, and he's too nervous and can't go out. Like, doing it, but he didn't know he had to do it on stage. Like, he got really scared. And I was like, oh. So I ran out, and I was like, please, just, I don't care what you say. I don't. You can just say, I'm not going to win. I already could kind of feel that way. I was like, let's just go have fun. So he said, fine. Walks on the stage, throws his fists together and says, Niles is the man with a master plan. If you don't vote for him, you're going to be sorry. And walks off stage.
Oh my God. Everyone thought that was okay.
And everyone was like, well, I'm going to die if I don't vote for this guy. And so
the other guy got nothing.
So
he even voted for me.
And I remember he leaned over and said, really? This is who you have in nominating you? This is a joke. And I said, please don't call him a joke. Like, he was brave enough to come out there and say what he said. And at this point, it meant a lot to me that he went out there and did that.
Right, because he was having a panic attack.
Like, literally smoked a pack of cigarettes, like, in the bathroom.
Yeah.
And that's just different times. I know, like, we can't do that now, but... And now...
You can't wear your propeller hat these days.
Yeah, I know. So, the girl comes out, and she says, just basically real simple. She was nervous too. Like, he's a nice guy, like, just kind of says nice things. And she's real soft-spoken. So I don't know if everyone heard what she said. And I remember till this day, I still say thank you. Like, if I say, I was like, thank you, And then, so they were like, oh, yeah, I can't wait till your speech. And I was like, yeah, all right. So he goes, what did you write? And I go, am I supposed to write something? And he says, yeah, didn't you write anything? I said, I'm just going to wing it. Like, because I did take it seriously, but I didn't. Like, I didn't think it needed to be that serious.
Yeah.
And I remember them getting really mad at me, like the crew, because I really thought to myself, like, I'm not president. Like, I'm not going to do anything. Like, at the end of the day, this is supposed to teach you stuff. But at the end of the day,
It doesn't do anything.
it doesn't do anything. It's not like I'm going to change lunch. Because that was one of the speeches. If I get nominated, I'm going to have better chicken patties and better this and better that. I've never saw that ever. They said we were going to try to have, like, food Spencer's. Never saw that. Like, everyone pretty much, like,
Bullshit the way into
right. It's like real politics. I'm going to promise you everything, but in reality, I basically stood there and I said, we can't do anything. Like, I'm just here because I feel you guys need to vote like someone like me, not like them, because they're all friends. And I did. I made them look like idiots, but I didn't mean to. It was more of like, it's them against us, and there's more of us than there is them. Why do we vote for them? And it's because nobody else would run.
Yeah.
And so, okay, this is when it gets really bad. So they announced that afternoon that it was too close to predict who won. So we would have to wait in the morning. So I don't think did you have Rez at all?
What?
Rez, like a teacher. It's a guy, an old guy, who's a really old guy.
Oh, like the teacher.
The teacher, right?
No.
No, all right. Well, Rez was this really old guy that was like bound to retire very shortly, and
So why'd you ask?
because I didn't know if I didn't know because he had that attitude. He kept saying he was going to retire.
My dad was young. Not that.
No, but this guy was one of those guys that if anyone lived longer, I feel like this would be the guy. Because he kept saying, this is it, I can't do it. The next year he'd be there. I can't do this anymore. Next year he'd be there. He's like, I got these damn highlight bills to pay. And then it'd be like, well, you're going to be... I'm like, you're going to be in here like a skeleton. You're just gonna be like,
You're the Betty White of
You're going to be here. We're going to be rolling your ass in here. I got bills to pay. Get me in here.
Right.
And so we're sitting there and they're making an announcement and he's like, quiet. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, now I'm convinced I'm not going to win because it's so close. And they say, with a landslide, first time ever. And I'm like, I thought this was a close race.
They just didn't want to announce it the day before. They didn't want to count.
I didn't want to count. They're like, with a landslide. They're like, that was Perry won. And this teacher's like, El Presidente. For like my whole school career, I was El Presidente to this teacher. And I became class president. And
were you class president the rest of the high school?
no, well, I didn't. I went to go run again, and I didn't. You know what the problem is? You get in that spot and you realize the guidance counselors that ran everything. And basically was like, you're going to do this. You're going to do that. And I just got like, well, what's the point of doing this if you're going to tell me? Like, any idiot can do this. And then I'm like,
oh, that's why those guys are
right. Because you know what it is?
Yeah.
And this is what they don't tell you. It's only good on your resume. Like, it's all that is. It's like me giving you the perfect sticker. You don't have to be perfect. I'm just giving you the sticker.
Yeah.
Then you can walk around telling everyone you're perfect. But at the end of the day, it really didn't do anything. I mean, I'm sure if I went on to college or stuff like that, everyone would be like, ooh, ah. And I was just like, it's really nothing. Like, yeah, it was really nothing. It was a waste of really. It was like they were like, "Oh, you need to do this. Oh, you need to do that." And I came up with some ideas. I'm like, "We should do this and we should do that." And some things I listened to, and they were like, "Oh, that's a good idea." And they did some things, and then some things they were like, "No, we're not doing that," because they had the final word. So it wasn't like we did stuff and flopped and became better.
Yeah.
We just, and then I was like, "No, I don't want to do this." And then the crew just started up again, like the same crew. I kind of like I ran the next year, but I didn't really run. Like, I didn't put all... Like, I kind of was hoping I would lose.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh... And then I was just kind of like... I don't know. Like, I really looked in the mirror and I said, this is a joke. And I kind of just moved on. And that's the worst thing. There's a lot of things that I feel like are really prestigious in this world. But then when you get it, it's really not what you think it is.
Yeah. That's something I never want.
What?
I didn't want attention on me.
Oh,
like
really?
I would never do that in school.
I lived on it. I thrived on it. Like I loved attention when I was a kid. I did. I'll tell you. I'll tell you how this is. Throwing someone under the bus again. I'm sorry. I did a comedy in my freshman year called. No, my sophomore year. I'm sorry, my sophomore year. I did called Audience. It
That was your thriving year, huh?
And it's my sophomore. Yeah, my sophomore, junior year. Actually, if you want to be exactly true, my freshman year was my senior year. Like everything you're supposed to do as a senior, I did my freshman year. Mm-hmm. I went to go to the pep rally. 2 seniors grabbed me. We skipped. I skipped anything that I went to a class that was only for seniors. The teacher never showed up, and the principal used to give me $5 to walk to Dunkin' Donuts to have breakfast for the period to come back. Eventually, his wife, which is the home ec teacher, used to drive me down there in the winter when it got cold because she was like, "Yeah, you're not doing anything." Like it was a different time.
Oh my God.
And then we got a new principal, and everything changed. Like every rule, like everything. And then all of a sudden, it was like, remember, I don't think they allow you anymore because, but my freshman year used to be able to drive around how many. So for instance, like I'm 94, so we would drive around the school 4 times. Like whatever your last number was of your school year, you would drive around honking during school and yell and scream, and while school was going on because you were seniors. I know because they stopped it after my freshman year. My freshman year, 2 of my friends were seniors, grabbed me and said, "You're going along." And I went, "Okay." Like I did more senior things my freshman year than I did. And then by the time my senior year came around and we weren't allowed to do any of that stuff, I didn't care. Because I was like, I already did it. Not with my class, but I did it already. And that's because when I had a lot of older friends. So I did all that.
That's the worst part, though, having older friends, because you're like, now what? Like my senior year, I didn't have any friends.
Me too.
Besides, like a handful that were younger than me.
Nope.
I sat with Sammy's friends at lunch. I had no friends. Or not close enough, you know.
I as funny as enough. I don't know who said this. I don't remember who, but someone said that I was the most popular kid in the school. But I never felt that way because at lunchtime I sat with the kid that used to annoy the hell out of me, or my girlfriend. And that
was the kid.
No, don't say anything bad about her. She's actually I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for her. I swear she got me through high school 100%. She was like always helping me. But yeah, I would sit with her all the time, and I would sit at tables by ourselves. And then, sometimes we get a few people sit with us, but I had Dave sat with me a couple of times, but then he stopped after I played that other joke on him, and which his big thing was to steal my soda all the time because they would sell soda at the store. And so one day I had enough, so I poured half of it out and I peed in it, and then I went in and he grabbed it and drank it. He goes, "God, this is piss warm." I said, "Exactly, that's what I did." And he dropped it and he tried to chase me down.
Oh my God.
I was so bad in high school. I was reckless. I
don't think I really did anything bad.
Oh, I did it.
I didn't do anything in high school. I'm like, I just lived. Got through it.
Rez used to do that. You remember the overheads when they used to write? Well, Rez would have a big pile, and I would say, "Hey, Rez, who cleans these for you?" He says, "Nobody." He says, I said, "I could clean them for you." I said, "You give me a pass to get out of class, I can clean it." And he goes, "Great idea." So he'd lock me in the bathroom because this is when the bathrooms used to be locked. I don't know if they were in your day, but the bathroom would be locked. So what happened? We'd lock, and then I would sit in there more than the period, and then I would Reg come in and be like, "What?" I'm like, "I've been banging for hours, Reg. Why couldn't you hear me?" "Oh, I didn't hear you. I didn't." Okay, and I was totally skipping it. And then he would write me a note saying that I was helping him and that I didn't get in trouble for.
Yeah. Did you have that teacher? My dad always said there was a teacher who used to. I don't know if I should say this, but she used to leave to get her hair done. She's like, "Oh, I'm leaving. I got a hair appointment." Did you have that teacher?
Yes, I will not throw that person under the bus, but yeah, I had that, and the actually funny is that is one of the band teachers is remember I told you the class that didn't show up. I had music theory, and it was supposed to talk about the history of music. He never showed up because there's a bunch of seniors. Mm-hmm. So I literally for a whole year sat as a freshman, like trying to figure out where to go.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't get in trouble because the class never got there, and I got a passing grade, which I don't know how since I never went to the class. And I bumped into him. Like, I kept bumping into him, and I would ask your dad, because he took me. I'm like, do you know this teacher? He goes, yeah, he's here all the time. I'm like, why I show up to class? You're not here.
Did you learn anything?
I didn't go to class. I never went to class. I never went to class at all. Like, I literally would go down, and I actually got hooked on home ec and stuff like that, and I learned how to sew, and because I basically...
Mm-hmm. They need to bring that back.
Yeah, your dad and I actually used to cook a lot. We used to have home ec together at times, and we used to laugh because the best part wasn't making the food; it was eating the food. Because they were like, "Oh, you got all this food now, you can eat it." But like, "Yep."
You're like, "Hell yeah, I do."
I remember in my sophomore year, we got a new teacher that was a student teacher, and we had it for period 4 right before lunch. And she used to say all the time, oh, bring your lunch. You can eat it during class instead of waiting because I'm starving, because we would have the last lunch, not the first lunch. And I will not throw him under the bus. I have 2 friends that I'm friends with Facebook, so I will not throw you under the bus, bros. But they used to go and come back, and he would have like all these lunch. Like, where you go? Oh, yeah, I walked down the A-wing and opened and broke into all the lockers and steal. And she would go, hey, Mrs. I won't say her name either. Do you want a lunch? She's like, yeah. Well, this is, I'd open it up and be like, oh, this is a peanut butter. Oh, thank you.
Could you imagine? Hold on. Being on the opposite side. This happened all the time?
A lot more than we like. Because he would say to me, oh, I go to the B wing. Why? The A wing is too rich and it has like sprouts and stuff. And he's like, the other ones are like normal, like bologna and peanut butter and jelly. So he would have certain wings he would hit, and he would be like, can I go to the bathroom? They say yes, and then he would come back with all these. I mean, when I say school lunches, I'm talking about like bags in his hand, and I'd be like, I remember one time he came with like a cool, like one of those. Well, we see him all the time, those cool. I'm like, dude, you can't take that cooler. Tomorrow there won't be lunches. And he's like, oh, that's right, I gotta return this. I don't remember where I got it from. I'm like, just leave it somewhere.
But can you imagine going to your locker on a regular basis? You're like, fuck, my fucking lunch is gone. I didn't use my locker. Like, I couldn't even tell you. I know it's in the B wing somewhere, but I didn't use it.
What did you have? Did you have one locker your whole school year? Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, we changed. We constantly changed.
No, we kept ours the same.
Oh, that's.
But my homeroom was in one end, and every class was like back and forth, like opposite sides. So I'm like, there's no fucking way. If this are like this, like the size of my pinky, like what am I gonna put in there? My lunch for somebody to come take it.
Well, we enjoyed it because he would sit there and open it, and there was me. And I love these 2 men with all my heart because they used to tell the best jokes and like the rude jokes, like the crude jokes, and we would always laugh about ourselves. Mm-hmm. So like one of them was black, so it was always a black joke out of him. Oh my God, the stuff that he would say is so bad. And he's like, but it's funny, right? It's funny, right? And then I would do a Portuguese joke because I'm Portuguese, and we would laugh, and we would, and then it would be like, oh, pass the peanut butter. Oh, what do you got over there? Oh, this guy has this. Oh, that sounds good.
Mom, don't need a lunch today.
Feed me today. Like I felt my sophomore year I lived on that stuff. I had like 2 lunches. That's why my lunch money that I got from Mom, that was comic book. Money. That was pocket money there. I was saying to my girlfriend, hey, you want to go out tonight? I got money.
The dollar menu.
There were no dollar menus back then.
Everything was the dollar.
Yeah, I know. No, because, okay, so I'm going to throw this out. Back then, they used to have, at McDonald's, they would make so many of whatever, and they would leave them under a heating lamp. And after a certain time, they would have to throw them away. So
So
I
you
had
went
a
at those?
friend who worked at McDonald's. They'd be like, "Oh, these were too long. Oh, put them in a bag for you." We used to go out
So you knew
walking
each time.
Oh yeah, we knew, and that's why they don't do that anymore. And I like to
Right.
think I'm one of the reasons why, because I literally lived.
Also,
off-
everyone just is like, "Oh, it's fresh."
yeah, because it was
No
like,
way.
I'm serious. I mean, what was it like? You like 5 minutes, 10 minutes? What was it? 10 minutes, and then after 10 minutes, Big Mac's still fine. Give me that.
Right.
Like, the nuggets are fine. Give it to
Right.
me. And I won't forget this. And God as my witness, I had favors that I had done in high school that I was 19. I went on a date for free. I got to park in a place because I knew the guy who was parking. I went to the fudge factory in Newport because I knew the guy who then gave us free fudge. I went to dinner because the waiter / guy owed me a favor. I had a whole thing all done one night, and I impressed the worst wicked witch of the West that I married and ruined my whole life. But I had it for free.
You shouldn't waste any money on her.
I didn't. She took all of it when she divorced me.
Yeah.
No, but it was, oh yeah, that was me in high school. No, I totally, I admit I knew the system and I worked it. And then once I became class president, everyone just assumed different of me. They looked different at me. They assumed I was an A student. They assumed I was a this. They assumed I was a that. So when, like, bad things would happen, a lot of times they would not look at me, and I'd be like, "Oh yeah," like, and I always kind of got that look, like, "Come on, you did this," and I'd be like, "Maybe," and,
Yeah.
there was a period and I lost touch with your dad after high school. He grew up. I mean, we all grew up. We all grew up, but he grew up really fast. I mean, he's the first one who had a kid and a wife, and and then his life became working. I mean, and then I landed up bumping into him our 10-year reunion, and that was
Are you guys still doing those?
No. Like, no,
Like-
we're still, like, they're still doing it, but, like,
still good at 'em?
the best part is that we had just talked about this, Shannon and I, but your dad talked about it. It's like, there's no reason for me to go. Like, I talk to Pat, I'll text him here and there, and I'll talk to your dad, and I see him. There's nobody I really want to, like, there's not, besides, maybe there's one or two people I like to see, and I don't think they'll go. So I don't, like, I know I went to my 10th year wanting to bump into certain people. I also had just got divorced, so I needed a little something, like get out of my own head, because I was, like, in the process of being divorced, so I was not in the right place. And I remember my mom said, you should go. You don't know who you're going to bump into. It's 10 years later. You guys are different. You're grown up. And I bump into your dad and your mom, and I go sit way in the back. I'm all by myself. And then he walks over and he goes, why is there a line? There's like a line of people coming saying hi to me. I'm like, I'm not joking.
Right.
There's a line. He's like, what are you doing? Selling tickets back here? What are you doing? I'm like, nothing. He's like, I want you to come. He's like, I want you to come. This food's bad here. Come with me. And we're going to a restaurant. And I said, okay. And so I'm thinking to myself, how much money do I have in my pocket? And he goes, oh, don't worry about it. And I thought he said, it's my restaurant. Like, I haven't seen your dad, so I have no idea. So we show up to the Bowens, and I'm like, yeah, I don't have enough. He's like, oh, nah, this is okay. It's okay. And I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden he says to me, why is this guy with us? And I look over and I'm like, oh, I don't know. He came with us.
Who is it?
Well, it's from a friend from high school. Another friend from high school. But he's just like, why is he here? And I'm like, no, he came with us. I don't know, like,
It's my tail.
like, he's my buddy. Rick is my buddy. I haven't seen him since high school either, but
Here we are.
we're living the dream, bro. Living the dream.
He's my date.
He's my plus one.
Am I right?
Hey, this is a good meal. You better
might
put
get lucky.
out. You better put out later. This is a good meal. Gary's paying a lot for this. And so I'm in the menu, and of course, I'm sweating because I'm like,
You're like, I can't even look at this menu.
like I'm thinking to myself like, water, $10,000. I gotta go. Like I'm like, is that out of the faucet?
Right. I'll take the ocean water. Right here. I'll just look at it. Don't even use a cup.
I'm like, what? And of course, yeah, because I was at a bad place at the time, and I had already paid for dinner. Because that's what you do when you go to a class reunion, you pay for dinner. So I'm like, and then I'm going through the menu, like because it's it's long, so you're kind of doing what I'm talking about long. The menu. I'm Portuguese. I told you it's a tuna can. It's only this long, but this wide. And so I'm sitting there and I'm holding the menu, and all of a sudden I stroll down and it says Head Chef Gary Jeffords, and I'm like, what the? Like, because I haven't talked to him all night. Right. And he's like, Niles, don't worry about it. Everything's taken care of. Like, we're going to. And then, oh my gosh, your poor dad. So a waiter comes over and starts questioning your dad. Like, oh, what is this? Da da da. And your dad goes from absolute, I love your dad, to, monster. Oh my. Like, yeah. I was like, I looked at Pat, and Pat's like, Niles, don't say a word. Like, and your dad's like, why are you questioning me? You don't know who these people are. These could be investors. This could be whatever. This could be. And he's like, you grab your stuff. You're out. So later on, I'm like, oh, did that guy leave early? He goes, no, I fired him. He's like, inappropriate talking in front of joking around. And I was like the big bead of sweat came from my head. Like, what?
It just poured out.
I'm like, here's my lunch money. Don't hurt me, Gary. And it was really a reality check, because the last time I saw your dad, we were senior in high school, and it was like we couldn't even get out of our own way of common sense. And here's your dad sitting at a table. I don't want to say demanding respect, but like authority just booming out of him. And your mom's just smiling at me, and I know your mom, but not know your mom. Like, and then it was like, and we had that night, we went home, and as we went home, I remember your dad saying, this is where we live. You need to come visit. You need to be here. I don't want to lose touch again. And
here we are making a podcast.
Then the next time I saw was you guys, where literally all three of you guys could sit in my lap. Like, literally sit in my lap, and I had brought toys for everybody, and your mom was like, oh, I just threw out a bunch of toys. Don't buy them anymore. And I'm like, yeah, well, that's not kind
of my thing.
There's not much longer with these guys. And Ashley,
do you know how old we were?
No, I don't. I have no clue. It was one of those. I knew Sammy was. I remember giving her that strawberry shortcake, and you guys were like, whoa! And I know Ashley was getting already old enough. Like, it was already, because the next couple of times was like, okay, I remember your mom saying, all right, Ashley, it's no more lap time. You're getting a young lady. Now it's time, like everybody does. You go through that learning stage. And, and the next thing I know, like, each one of you were like graduating high school, and I'm being invited to, everything, graduations. And, I'm like, what the? And now I'm doing a podcast with you. And how old are you now?
I'll be 23 in a couple months.
Yeah. So, I mean, I
had to really think about that.
I don't.
I was like, oh, just carry the 4.
I will say, Marin was born when I was I was 30. So I had already seen you guys before then. So you're talking about 15, almost 20 years ago. So that's when I first met you guys. So almost 20 years ago. Like, that's
crazy.
Like, it is crazy. And I still have the picture of you in the baby seat going like this with your Goofy shirt.
Oh my God, yeah. That comes into my memories all the time. Like, oh, what am I doing?
You're having fun, and you don't care.
Yeah.
And that was the big thing about you coming, like, you and...
we would, like, spend weeks at your house.
Yeah. We would.
At a time.
Like, yeah. We did.
Mom's like, are you coming home? Nah. I was like, take them home.
I feel like I got a bad rap for that, because I would say, hey, want me to call your mom? No, I called my mom. I called my mom. Are you sure? Yep. Do you want me to talk to them if it was okay? No. We got it. And then it's like, we don't see our kids. You can take them. I keep telling them to you go home.
I keep telling them, get the fuck out.
That or
in the nicest way possible.
That or the whole, like, I try to kill your sister.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, what you want to eat? Oh, we'll have pizza. Next thing you know, she's all red. What's wrong with her? Oh, she's allergic to tomatoes, strawberries.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the Rice Krispie one.
Oh, no, that's...
Do you want me to tell that one?
Yeah, you can tell that story. Go ahead.
So, young me was...
So, wait a minute. No, Ashley's in high school or she's out of high school?
I don't remember how old we are.
I think she was in high school.
She's probably in high school.
Yeah, she's in high school at the point.
So, I'm taking a shower in... Every teenage girl or young girl or whatever takes like a forever long shower. Don't know what we're doing in there. We're just taking forever. Pretty much.
I'm making it right.
So like I'm taking forever. Ashley's eating Rice Krispie treats, he's making jokes, he's like banging on the door. Shamu, save some water for the rest of us. So she starts choking. And you have to tell the rest of the story.
So she starts to choke. So I actually give her the Heimlich.
Yeah.
And she spits it out. And she starts yelling at me because I just saved you. She's like, you're the reason why I'm choking and almost died.
She still won't eat Rice Krispie treats. Like, to this day, will not eat them.
Poor Ashley. Like, all I wanted to do was Ashley to like me. And it didn't matter what I did. It went wrong. Like, it was, anytime I wanted her to smile or laugh, it went right through her. And
because you're so annoying.
That's another one. She was at a party where she yelled at a birthday party where the whole place had got quiet and she yelled, "You're so annoying." And as soon as she said, "You're so annoying," the first thing came to my head was like, "What are you, new?" And that made everyone laugh and made her cry upstairs. And your mom looking at me like, "That's really funny, but you can't do that with her." Like, it was really funny, but not with her. And then it came to a point where I think you guys are the only people that came out to see me. Yeah. It's like, Ashley's in her room. Leave her alone. Like, yeah. And that was it, I think. And then you landed up, I don't know, you guys kind of grew up fast. And then it just was but I think the weirdest thing, and I do find it weird, is that I sit here and do a podcast with you, but I kind of feel like I do it with your dad. Because we're the same sense of humor, the same thing. And so I don't know where your mom was when you were conceived, because I don't like your mom was not there. Because you're so your dad. You're so much like your dad. It's almost like it's just weird to me because it's fun. But I find this fun, and I thought we'd just kind of introduce ourselves and tell little stories, even though I feel like I told more my side of the story.
It's okay.
I
don't really have
next one. She's like, I'm only 22. Nothing's happened. Anything that's happened was funny in your life. Right.
I don't really have like good stories like that though. Like I said, like I don't
feel like we give our kids the ability to have good stories. Like I have funny stories. Like I even have funny stories about even me younger. Like before your father, like me riding the bike and me doing this or doing that and thinking, oh, this is a great idea. 2 seconds later going, worst idea ever. But I don't feel like we give that chance to our kids. Like I wanted that for my daughter and I didn't. She kind of doesn't have that. Mm-hmm. It's a different world. Mm-hmm. And you know what? It's the same world. We just see it differently.
Yeah.
Because like I was like, well, there's a lot of people out there who will take your kids. Yeah, they've been taking kids since God knows when. Mm-hmm. But we just know about it now. And now it's just, oh my God, this could happen.
Yeah.
And, I don't know. I just kind of think the world is what it is, and we just got to get through it. Mm-hmm. So, I know. So, like, a lot, you don't have those stories. And a lot of things
I think my stories, like, you kind of have to be there for it to be funny. Like, I feel like that's kind of like what.
And I think a lot of the things that we have. It's funny, we were just talking about this, like how, like, in my day, like you could get cigarette, like you can go down and be like, my mom wants a pack of cigarettes, and you get a pack of cigarettes, mm-hmm. Like no one would question you. Mm-hmm. I feel like nowadays they do things to protect the kids, which is not bad,
Right.
but it doesn't get you in trouble either. Like you
Right.
don't have a story about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like my dad talks about a story all the time, which real quick, because I know we're getting to the end of time. My dad talks about getting drunk one time and walking out on the Pell Bridge. Now you're like, okay, what's the big deal? Well, the Pell Bridge wasn't built, so it was all like planks and stuff.
Ugh.
So
Why
all
would
of
you
a
do that?
sudden,
Why would you walk over a bridge anyway?
no, it wasn't a bridge. It was like a piece of the bridge. Like cause remember,
Still.
so they were all laughing and joking, and they dropped a bottle, and they're like, ha ha ha. Da, da, da. Bloop, bloop. Oh God! And then like they realized how far they were.
Right.
So fast.
Exactly. My dad says they got sober so fast, and they actually did the like shuffle walk instead of like casually walking. They were shuffling walking, like
Like the run walk.
yeah. Instead of like the oh God, please, because
Right.
you know, and that's stories that we don't have because
Right.
kids aren't doing those things, you know. And it's like, well, what happened if kids fall? Yeah, kids, there's accidents. I mean, people can skateboard and land a certain way and break your neck and die right then. I mean, that's part of living life.
Yeah.
Car accidents, you know, bus accidents. Let's go through the list of things that can happen.
I mean, you don't want them to happen, but
You don't
you're not
want
gonna,
to,
like,
but it's life.
shelter
It's
yourself.
one of those things as you don't stop living because bad things happen.
Yeah.
Well, this was about our stories of our lives, even though it's more about me and your dad, or like just kind of me. I have more. There's so much stuff I don't even tell you about, like riding stories. I got funny horseback riding stories. I have funny other things, but oh my. See, that's your dad right there. Because like you just give me that look, like really. So
Do it again.
I hope this helped because I know we have a bunch of new fans that get to know us and know that we're just joking and having a good time. And most of our podcasts, even though they're supposed to be for you, most of the time
Just for us.
we're having a ball.
Yeah.
And I know the next couple are. So this is our last live for the next 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And because you're going on your honeymoon,
Mm-hmm.
and the next 2 will be
Just on YouTube.
just on YouTube.
YouTube exclusives.
on
Go
Tuesday.
watch.
Yes, and make sure you do all that. Like, subscribe. What else?
Comment. Hit
Comment.
that bell.
Hit that bell.
Share.
Share. Do a little dance. Make a little noise. Make love tonight. I thought you were gonna finish it.
Put your left hand in. This is my right hand. Put your left hand in. Put your left hand in.
All right. Thank you for watching. Have a good night. Bye, guys.
Bye.